Open any English grammar book and you will find an endless number of rules that make this language seem very complicated and hard to learn, especially the verb tenses. It's very discouraging for students, I know. It reminds me of the English expression, you cannot see the forest for the trees, which means that you're so busy looking at all the trees that you never see the forest as a whole. You pay so much attention to all the grammar rules that you never see the big picture. So today, I invite you to look at the forest, the big picture, and realize that much of the English grammar you are learning in school is not English grammar at all. It's really Latin grammar. The teaching of English has been heavily influenced by Latin grammar for over 400 years, right up until today. For example, the English language does not have a true past, present, and future tense. You don't believe me? Here, let's look in a real grammar book to see what grammarians actually do know. Remember, grammarians study grammar. It's their job. They're not teachers, and they don't write your textbooks. These experts have to tell us the truth. So, what is the truth? The truth is, English verbs are divided into two kinds, stop and non-stop. The grammarians who wrote this book agree with me, but they use different names, calling them past and non-past. I think that's a bad choice of names. But their idea is right. English verbs can only mean two things, either stop or non-stop. As a teacher, I try to make everything easy to understand and easy to use. So I have given them different colors. Red for stop, think of a red stop sign. And blue for non-stop, think of a blue sky, no beginning and no end. I've also given them different shapes, a red triangle and a blue circle to help you remember. To draw a triangle, you have to stop your pencil 3 times. To draw a circle, you need to move your pencil without stopping. Using colors is much easier to understand. And the best part is, the exceptions disappear and everything makes sense. Let's look at some examples of the so-called present tense. A very poor name indeed. Our first example is past tense. King dies. Why do newspapers use dies to mean died? Is that logical? Your school books call this an exception or a special usage, but it's clearly not present time. Here's another example, a future example. My plane leaves next week. When we say next week, we know it's future time, but why do we use the present to talk about the future? Yes, I know what your grammar books say. They say this is present tense for future plans. Now, if you're a normal student, you probably want to give up because these grammar rules just don't make any sense. Our third example is a present time. Shh, I work now. Why can't we say, I work now? Of course, your teachers will say, I'm sorry, you have to say, shh, I'm working now. But if now doesn't mean present time, what does it mean? Why do English teachers all over the world keep teaching this nonsense? And why are all English examinations everywhere still testing it? Well, the simple reason is ignorance and laziness. Everyone says English has been taught this way for hundreds of years. How can we change it now? That's so much trouble, so much work. Let's just keep everything the way it is, shall we? That's better for us, the teachers, but it's unfair to you, the students, because you never understand how easy English really is. It's so discouraging. So, what's the answer? Listen, and I will tell you. First, forget the Latin idea of past, present, and future. Just throw it away. and use two easy-to-understand colors, red and blue. Everything will come together and finally make sense. It's truly so much easier. Now let's go back and look at our examples, changing them to blue to help you remember. Our first example, King dies. Newspapers use non-stop blue because it doesn't want to tell you when this very important thing happened. Blue means no beginning and no end, remember? But the king's death has a very clear end. Why don't they tell us when? They don't tell us because they want us to keep reading. King dies is only used in headlines to make the reader want to learn more. However, the first line of the newspaper article will always use the color red, died, to tell you exactly what day and what time the king passed away. It makes sense now. Blue is used without telling you the beginning or the end. Our second example is future. My plane leaves next week. Next week is clearly future time, so calling leaves present tense is a very bad idea. Now, why is it blue? Let's remember, airplanes are very expensive, so they must fly every day as much as possible, or the airlines will lose money. For this reason, my plane arrives and leaves somewhere every day and stops only for repair work. So, leaves is correct because it has no beginning and no end. If I want to fly somewhere, all I need to do is buy a ticket and get on this airplane. But if I don't buy a ticket, this plane will leave without me. It won't stop flying. Our third example, shh, I work now. If blue means that there is no beginning and no end, now we can understand why I work is not possible in this sentence. Because I work means I have a job to make money to live. That never stops. But shh tells us I must stop talking now and turn my attention to this. This is a very clear beginning. So we say, I am working now, to show the idea of change, of turning our attention to something. The ing gives us this feeling of control. With these examples, I am trying to show you how unhelpful the names of the English verb tenses are. By understanding the big picture, by seeing the forest of red and blue, English verbs become much easier to use, with no need to talk about exceptions. My next video will discuss examples of the so-called past tense. So subscribe to keep listening and speed up your progress as an English learner.